the most powerful economy in history, just admitted defeat, not on a battlefield, not in a boardroom, but in a phone call that lasted exactly 47 minutes on December 15th, 2025. Something unprecedented happened. The U.S. Treasury Secretary placed a call to Beijing not to negotiate, not to threaten, but to beg. For the first time since World War II, the American empire is on its knees, asking its enemies for permission to survive. You think you understand what's happening in the headlines? Trade wars, sanctions, geopolitical chess moves. But you're watching the theater while the real drama unfolds backstage. What you're about to learn will change everything you believe about the global economy behind closed doors. 3 separate meetings took place this week that prove the American century is mathematically over. The first meeting was in Washington, the second was in Beijing, the third was in a bunker 200 feet below Riyadh. Each meeting had the same agenda: save the dollar at any cost. But here's what they discovered in those rooms. The patient is already dead. They're just arguing over who pays for the funeral. Vail spent 15 years inside the machinery of international finance. I've watched empires rise and fall from the trading floors of London to the central banks of Asia. What I am seeing now is not a recession, not even a depression. It's a liquidation sale. The United States is selling off everything that isn't nailed down to pay a debt that can never be repaid. And the buyers, the very countries Washington spent decades trying to destroy. Let me show you the 3 phone calls that changed history. Call number 1 happened at 3:17 a.m. Eastern Time. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen calling her counterpart in Beijing. The conversation was supposed to last 10 minutes. It went on for 47. Why? Because for the first time in American history, the U.S. was asking China not to attack them economically, but to save them from economic suicide. The United States needs to sell $5.2 trillion in new debt this year. That's not a typo. $5.2 trillion, more than the entire GDP of Japan, just to keep the government functioning for 12 months. But here's the nightmare. Their biggest customers have stopped buying. China used to absorb hundreds of billions in U.S. Treasury bonds every quarter. Today they're selling not slowly, not quietly, in massive chunks that make the bond market shudder. Japan, traditionally America's most loyal financial ally, is liquidating U.S. debt faster than they accumulated it. They're not doing this to hurt America. They're doing it to save themselves. Europe, they're broke. Their banks are choking on their own government debt. They can't bail out America when they can't even bail out themselves. So who's left to buy $5.2 trillion in American IOUs? The Federal Reserve.
Noble Gold. Real assets. Real value.